Good afternoon and welcome everyone to the No Loop Geothermal Business Model webinar. As John had said earlier, we hope everyone and their families and business teammates are doing well during these challenging times. We thank you for your time and making yourselves available during this 1-hour webinar. We have lots of information to pass along and to share with you, so we'll be moving along at a relatively fast pace. So we will definitely respect your time constraints. John, if you can go to the next screen. Just to introduce myself, I'm Mike Stanek. I am joining Phoenix Energy Supply as the Director of Sales. And let me first say that the objective of this webinar is to showcase the services and the products that this business model brings to the table. You can call it a business model or a partnership, or you can just simply refer to it as a package deal. And this model includes everything from system design to the commissioning of the geothermal system and everything in between. The introduction of this partnership is, in our opinion, very timely in light of the initiatives that are being relaunched throughout New York State to promote renewable energy. Fundamentally, the partnership is built around talent and value-added services. So let me first introduce the main presenters this afternoon. Everyone knows John Manning. John Manning, President and Principal Owner of Phoenix Energy Supply. John will lead off the presentation by discussing why the no-loop model is being launched and why it makes sense. Next is Kevin Moravec. Kevin is President of Moravec Geothermal, and Kevin will address the framework of the no-loop model and how it makes the job of the installing HVAC contractor so much easier. Next is Jared Fortna. Jared is our Director of Engineering for Phoenix, and Jared will provide a quick overview of the product lines that Phoenix Energy offers through Geostar, which is a brand offered by Water Furnace, and Samsung, a well-known supplier of mini splits and VRF systems. And then finally, Levi Felfoldi, our Director of Operations for Phoenix Energy. Levi will cover ancillary services offered by the No Loop team. Just some logistics as we proceed with the presentation. If you have any questions, please submit those in the chat section of your screen. Time permitting, we will try to answer as many as we can. Secondly, our giveaway prize winners will be selected at random, and we will post the winners in a separate communique. So without further ado, let me turn over the webinar and the presentation to John Manning.
Thank you, Michael. I would like to reiterate what Mike said, and I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us today. You all to be safe and healthy during these challenging historical times. And as we all are in a bit of a pause in our business endeavors, and hopefully we will engage in a safe and healthy re-entry into our business endeavors in the coming weeks, maybe months. It was a plan and that re-entry, and hopefully it'll be a safe re-entry. I would like to give me a little feedback. We've got this ability built into our presentation, and I'd like you to describe your business with this one question, and there's going to be a couple more opportunities throughout the presentation. And you can use your cell phone or your computer to answer this question. You can do it as a text message. You can do it browser on your phone or on your computer. If you use your browser, you got to go to the website polev.com/JohnManning737, and you can simply answer the question. Are you an HVAC contractor who has installed a geothermal system? Are you a contractor who has installed less than 10 systems? Or maybe between 10 and 50? Or more than 50? Or are you not a contractor at all?
They want me to answer a question. You're going to respond to a poll? How do I get to that poll?
So I'll give you time to struggle with this as I perhaps give you a little background of that I've been in the industry since, well, a very long time. I was fortunate to be part of a Niagara Mohawk project back in 1982. Yeah, that
I don't know how
came out of the womb doing geothermal. But I've witnessed the transformation of geothermal in New York State a long time. So I've never seen the industry better poised to explode in New York State. 5 years ago, we started the New York 30 organization, and we've successfully stimulated NYSERDA's rebate program. We are in a transition period. The electric utility companies have been mandated to spend some $440 million to further stimulate the market through their renewable heat initiatives. On April 23rd, they're going to have a webinar to educate us how their program is rolled out. If you're not aware of that webinar, we can send you all an email. I encourage you all to join that webinar and learn what we're going to learn, because we're not very well acquainted about the details of their programs. So we're certainly going to send you all that email that we got just a few days ago, and encourage you all. Ooh, feedback. So the market is primed for explosion, and we hope we can support your efforts to take advantage of this dynamic change that's going to occur. So, well, look at that. We've got a very large contractors who have installed less than 10 systems. And I appreciate you answering this question. It illustrates that there's a huge opportunity for growth for a lot of folks out there. And yet we also see we've got a large number of experienced contractors out there. So there's a good wealth of knowledge that exists in our industry. And I look forward to hopefully working with all of you as we proceed forward. So the next slide, I'm going to ask you to give me reasons as to what's holding you back from installing more geothermal systems. Could be 1, 2, 3, whatever comes to your mind as to what's holding you back. Why is geothermal only 1 to 2% of the HVAC? So I'll let you ponder that one. And, you know, I spent I've spent the bulk of my professional career, I took out of school, and we crisscrossed the country 3 times, calling on HVAC contractors. We visited 37 states as we traveled cross country with a good friend of mine, Dallas Warnke. He invented the non-pressurized flow center. That the bulk of our flow centers that we sell in geothermal systems of his creativity and developed non-pressurized flow centers, which Dr. Jim Bowes, the father of geothermal, he coined the phrase that it's the callback eliminator. So that's an area that we have experience with, and we can educate you on the choices that we have. We do sell pressurized systems for those who prefer that kind of I love some of these answers. Unreliable, boy, that intrigues me. Knowledge, education. This is good stuff. Experienced. Still hard. Initial cost, yep. And there's been a lot of work done. I love people who claim they've lowered the cost through innovative drilling techniques. There's a company down in the Hudson Valley who's made all sorts of claims. But recently they've had it multiple times because they were bogus claims. I won't mention any names, but it's a lot like a weed. So I think I may have to print this slide and hang it on my wall. It's good. So certainly, as I've over the years, that's probably 30 years ago, I sketched up a slide that really epitomized what I think was a fundamental resistance for HVAC contractors in general to get into the business. So thanks for all these words, and I think a lot of them fall into what I've depicted in the next slide. And that is, to steal from Rudyard Kipling's poem, indoors is indoors and outdoors is outdoors, and never the twain shall meet. And I started a company back in 1988 called Geotech. And we bought drill rigs, and we did the entire turnkey system. And we hired a young man. He was like a god. John Carozzi. He could handle a 48-inch pipe wrench and stand on the back of a drill rig. And he was one awesome dude. And then we decided to do some cross-training. And we teamed him up with a tin knocker. And after 3 days, he said, "Get me the hell out of there. I don't want to hang tin." And of course, we took our tin knocker, who was also a hemophiliac, if you can imagine that. And we put him on the back of a drill rig, and he said, "Get me the hell off that thing." Tin. So these are 2 totally different skill sets. And we'd go to a bar after work, and of course they'd drink 2 totally different beers. These are 2 different worlds, and, you know, never. So I think these are, like I said, 2 different worlds. So there's, and you got to respect the skill sets in these 2 different worlds are just different. So I also want to talk a little bit about insights into making and losing money. And I've certainly lost a lot of money in my day, so I'm an expert on that side of the equation. And occasionally I've made some money. And we are good at something, chances are we can make some money at it. Not always, but we have a chance. We believe we can become good at anything. After all, we are smart, and if you don't think so, just ask. I haven't met an entrepreneur or a businessman who isn't confident. We don't become independent having confidence. And sometimes it may be considered cocky or overconfident, and we believe in ourselves. So we think we can and I'm going to pick on my good buddy Hal Smith because he made the same mistake I did in buying a drill rig. And Hal, you still got that drill rig for sale, don't you? He's probably on mute. But indeed, back in 1988, I had to sign a personal guarantee. Bought $140,000, and thank God the company now in New Jersey decided to buy our little company. So I did walk away with the 2 nickels in my pocket that I started with. But we think we can do it all. And quite often, that becomes our downfall. If we don't become good at something, chances are aren't going to make money. When we're not making money, we're probably losing money. You need to not only avoid losing money, but learn to reliably make money with I've known dozens of contractors who start doing geothermal jobs, they end up losing so much money that they never do geothermal again. And that's what we want to avoid. Do not make the same mistakes that a lot of other people have made. You do that by recognizing that you need to let others do what they know how to do. And a lot of contractors already do that. You know, we may sub out the tin knocking. There's a lot of guys who come in and simply bang out the ductwork. And a lot of guys take advantage of that. Subcontractors who do what they do and know how to do it, and they do it very well. Here's some pictures you might get a chuckle out of. This ain't like hanging tin. Here's my good buddy Scott Hess, who drilled up at Lemoyne College several years ago, and he's got his sneakers standing on the back of the rig. Probably wished he'd worn his hip boots that day. Here's a guy looking in a rather deep trench. And trenches can be rather hazardous. I know Trent Castor up in Buffalo area lost a guy in a trench with a cave-in. So these are different than working indoors. The basic structure of how this no-loop concept is as we perceive it. Your customer will always be your customer. And you, in your company, will deal with a system that Phoenix will set up to transfer the project-related data. We may work with you to help details, but ultimately you send your project data to us, the address, a lot of the data that we will then forward the relevant data on to Moravec Geothermal. They will do their stuff that I'll let Kevin go into a little more detail on, and then they will handle and directly deal with your customer with you being fully informed of those details. And at that point, I'm going to transition over to Kevin.
Thanks, John.
Are you there, Kevin?
Yep, I'm here. Yep, I just unmuted myself, and again, I'll mirror both Mike and John's sentiments. We thank everybody for being here today, taking some time to listen to this opportunity. Hopefully, we can answer some questions and generate more interest. At the heart of what we're doing, it is a no-loop solution for any kind of contractor. If you go back to John's original question slide, we've got a range of people that have not installed a system. They've installed relatively few systems, between 10 and 50. We've got some that have installed over 50. We've got professionals as far as architects and engineers that might even be the first point of contact with homeowners. And it is exactly what we're talking about. We're trying to separate what John said. If you're good inside, stay inside. So we are going to allow contractors to no longer worry about what happens in the dirt. We're going to provide you with a turnkey power plant system for your geothermal solution provided by Phoenix. We will design, install, test, commission, handle a lot of conversations between contractors and homeowners to smooth that process. We can install vertical, horizontal, open loop systems in occasional situations. Pond loops, we won't do lake loops. And what you end up with is 2 pipes through the wall ready for connection to your piping inside the building. And we're going to do this all for a flat rate. It won't change regardless of the loop type, the situation. We'll evaluate every single opportunity and provide you with the direction so that when you talk to your customers, you have a guaranteed path moving forward, be it a ground source system or possibly an air source system. Next slide, John. A little bit about the process that we're going to be using, and this is evolving, but each contractor will have a site form. This will be filled out with the customer, and it will pass to either myself or Richard Moravec with Barney Moravec Incorporated. He will handle a majority of the site visits to assess the viability of each location. A little bit later in the presentation, if we have time, I'll have somebody throw an address or two out in the chat box maybe, and we can pull that up on Google Maps and give you a broad level understanding of some of the things that we're looking for. We will do a site visit, either virtually or physically, depending on the location details and what the COVID-19 will allow us to do. From that point, we'll give you a green light and allow you to present a final proposal to the customer. And again, there will be no change in costing. A lot of contractors have dealt with issues over the years as far as, it could be $10,000, it could be $5,000, it could be $15,000, and that level of variability makes it hard to put a contract into a customer's hand. From there, we will talk about scheduling. That'll be a conversation again between the homeowner, our geo team, and the contractor. We will set expectations and understand this is a construction project. We do make a mess. It's something to be proud of, not something to shy from. When everything is completed and tested, the forms will be submitted to Phoenix, and you'll be ready to turn that information over to whatever utility you're going to be dealing with. There's a lot of unknowns with that, and we at least had an understanding of what was going on. Hopefully within the next week or two, by the 1st of May, we should have a good understanding of what those various processes are. The whole goal of this is to make it easy for you to gain a customer. Next slide. Couple things to keep in mind. We never want you to prejudge a situation or a site. There is always a heat pump technology solution that will fit a home. Just because we can't put a loop into it doesn't mean that we can't encourage the homeowner to go an air source route. Never make promises that others have to keep. This has created issues over the years. Promising a clean job, you'll never know that we're there. Your yard will look like it was before you started, and it just creates negative feedback. The biggest thing for a contractor to do is to just identify if the home is a good candidate for what you do and what you do well inside. Leave it up to us as your partner to confirm what is going to happen outside the yard. And from that point on, we're part of your team. We can have conversations with customers. We can show them images. We can take them to sites. And a lot of you may have questions in there. As part of what I do, I'm a geothermal installer as well. So I've got a lot of background, and John will touch later on about some mentoring opportunities. We can help you in every phase of this plan. Next slide. What we do is standard. That is really a key component to how we're going to be able to offer a flat rate pricing system. If we're doing a vertical system, it's a single 500-foot bore, industry standard 1.5" HDPE, high thermal conductivity rated grout at a 1.6. It's a graphite based. It does conform to all industry standards. We do a continuous grouting process from the bottom to the top. We do leave cuttings and water on site and then incorporate it into the lateral tie into the building where possible. Next slide. This is just an example of one. You look at it from the overhead. This is a little bit of what we do to determine whether or not we can do an installation on a property. This is in Pittsburgh, New York. If you can see the white outline, that roughly shows the space that we had to work. Even though the backyard looks like it's wide open, you can't navigate between the various properties without driving over a neighbor's yard, and it was a very wet site, as you'll see in the next slide. You've got a little bit of an image of before. The rig is just setting up. It's starting to drill, and you see the after. And that is a completed bore in the kind of the middle top of the screen. And that is the power plant for the home. If you go to the next slide, you see it looks a little bit different when we're all said and done. It's not perfect. And that is essentially what the homeowners have to work with. We can help homeowners work with local landscapers, or maybe they have somebody. Final grade, seeding, all that is not included in what we do. Again, back to John's, do what you do well. We're not landscapers. We can cut away a propane tank, we can remove gas from the home, and we can lower energy bills, but we're not very good at making your yard look like you want it. Next slide. This is just an example of what a horizontal system would look like. This is a 6-circuit variety. Very nice soil conditions, nice trench. You can see the spacing in there. And then to the right slide, you see the header, reverse return, and then it shoots off from there over around to the house. Next slide, and you can see the penetration. That's the outside finished. It's got a couple metro seals in there. That was a poured wall, actually. So really the wall type doesn't matter. We have ways to get through just about anything. Laid stone foundations are always a challenge, but we can work with that as well. Next slide. This one here graded nicely, and then it rained on it that night. So that's roughly what a customer can expect when the process is complete. And again, it's important to focus on the fact that, yeah, you've got a little bit of an inconvenience for 4 months or 6 months with your grass that's got to grow back, but you've just replaced a generation's worth of fossil fuels. Next slide. This is essentially where we finish, and there's a couple varieties of what we can do, but you are ending up with a loop that has been flushed, primarily filled with methanol to the correct percentages. If contractors prefer to work with glycol, we can work through those details with you as well. But the loop is commissioned and ready to go. It's been pressure tested. It is ready for the final piping that connects to your Phoenix solution, your heat pump system, and away you go. Next slide. Examples. I don't know if we have time to do this, John or Jared, where we throw some addresses out there. Or we can do it at the end if we want.
Let's save it for the end, I think.
Okay.
Let's get through the product and we'll come back to it.
Sounds good to me. Let's go to the next slide then. The pricing, flat rate. So again, it's a turnkey system. The loop type does not matter, and there is no choice. You cannot come to us and the homeowner can't say, well, I prefer a vertical or I prefer a horizontal. That's where our expertise will lie. We know the geology, we know the drilling conditions, we know where it's a good location to drill and not drill. There's a team of several drillers that we'll be working with during this process, and so we have a lot of local, in-depth, in most cases, decades worth of experience knowing what we can and can't do. We have the loop testing, excavation, rough grade, inside the building, all flushed and filled. We include the site visits. Can be included if you wish to have us talk with the customers in greater detail about what's going on. Scheduling, this will be a moving target. It'll normally be within 3 to 6 weeks, 3 to 8 weeks. We'll work with you on that side of things, and Levi will have a portal that we'll be able to track and manage and see where and how every job stacks up. And again, we provide all documentation to Phoenix, and they can in turn provide it to you so that you have everything that the various utilities may require of you. Next slide. So the installation of the flow center is something that we can do for you. If you want us to just hook that up and flush that, whether it's pressurized or non-pressurized, we can help you discover financing for your possible customers as part of your GeoStar product service offering. We can help with the assistance of permits as needed. Typically, the drilling side of things is not really required. That may change. We can help with the QA and QC on anything that's going on. And John will touch on this in a little bit, but we can help with mentorship. Offer people to come and learn and see what it is that we do both inside and outside of the building. We'd offer that to you guys just to help maybe pick off some of those concerns and fears that were listed on the first type-in summary of questions or issues with why you don't do geothermal. At the end of the day, what I want to say is to offer you contractors the assurance that any home that you go and visit, any customer that you talk to, you will know 100% whether your site is good or not for geothermal. And if it's not a geothermal site, and they do exist, you still have the opportunity to provide them with a heat pump system for their home. If there's any other questions, any concerns as you go through this process, we'll be reaching out to meet with you guys individually and hopefully answer those questions. Thanks for your time, and I'll pass it over to Jared now.
Thanks, Kevin. My name is Jared, as was mentioned earlier, and we're going to talk here about the products that Phoenix Energy offers. We offer two main product lines, the GeoStar product and Samsung. Now, GeoStar offers kind of two main flavors, a water to air and a water-to-water series. Samsung offers some slightly different products. They have VRF, water-cooled, and they have air-to-air products. So we're going to touch on a little bit of those, and let's get right into it. Water-to-air. GeoStar has 3 different water-to-air options. We have a good product. It has very good COPs, ERs. Sizes range from 2 to 6. It's available in 2-speed. Kind of limited options, but it's a good entry-level product. Next, we have the better product, the Aspen. Has slightly better efficiencies, slightly larger range of equipment, has more options available to it, single-speed equipment, 2-speed equipment, and then more options within there as well. The best, our best product we got available in 3, 4, and 5 ton is totally variable speed. Airflow is variable speed. Water flow is variable speed, and the compressor is variable speed. This is by far the best product we have in GeoStar. Next, all 3 of those products we can incorporate airside zoning. And the good product can handle 2 airside zones. The best can handle 4 airside zones. I'm sorry, the better can handle 4 airside zones, and our best variable speed can handle 6 airside zones. So very flexible addition and fully incorporated into the GeoStar product. Next, we're going to talk about monitoring. The Symphony product is a very easy product to install. You plug it into the box, you connect to the Wi-Fi, you do a little bit of logging in and registering the particular product, and away you go. And out of that, you get this website. It allows you to see all the thermostats in your product or in your project. Also gets to see basic equipment summaries. Also gets to see energy consumption. So nice and neat. Also allows you to do other things such as make changes to the unit itself through its aid tool. You can also configure the thermostats. Very flexible. If you have issues with the unit, you can also do troubleshooting, where you can see the refrigerant side of the equipment, and also air and water side. And so that allows you to basically not only troubleshoot a system, but also help make it better perform after it's gotten going. One of the things it has is if there's a fault condition that's been thrown, you can click on the fault and it'll take you exactly to all the data that is at that time. So you can see what happened beforehand and afterward. Very, very powerful. Next, we're going to talk about kind of the standard package that we offer. As Kevin mentioned, the standard loop is a single bore 500 feet. This standard package works directly with that. So we have a variable speed water to air unit connected to with a 2-ton or 1.5 ton water to water that does 100% domestic hot water heating. So a nice simple package. As you saw earlier, it could be a 3, 4, 5 ton water to air unit serving as kind of a standard retrofit type package. Next, we'll move on to water to waters. This is a very useful product being applied to mostly hydronic systems. But we have GeoStar's initial product, which is the Aspen Single. Very good efficiencies, available in lots of different sizes, and meets kind of our standard temperature ranges for heating and cooling water, 38 to 125. We also have the OptiHeat, which is slightly less options as far as sizes, but gives us more heating capacity and also more water or higher water temperatures. So instead of being limited to 125, we can now bump up to 145, and meeting a lot of those boiler applications where you're not required to add more fin tube baseboard or some other way of adding more heat to your distribution. This really allows you to have much more of a direct replacement to existing systems. And lastly, on their water-to-water, they have a dual, which is much larger systems, a single box with 2 compressors that ranges from 8 to 15 tons. And again, lower water temperatures similar to the single. So that completes kind of the whole line of water-to-waters to serve all your needs. We also have this is more of our hydronic solution for all the water-to-waters. And so we've developed a relatively simple piping scheme that allows us to take advantage of the water coming directly out of the heat pump and go directly to the load. Typically, you'll see when they connect it to the buffer tank, that most designs end up mixing that water and reducing the effective water temperature that goes to the load. And since we are limited in our temperature capability, we really need that benefit of going to the load with the warmest water temperature. So as you can see here, we basically come out of the heat pump, we tee across the tank and go directly to the load, providing that warmest water temperature. And so from this, we have developed controls to be able to serve a multitude of needs, whether it's 1 heat pump, 2 or 3 heat pumps. We can do that, or if you have a need for domestic hot water, we can serve that as well. And you can also add in supplemental heating. So it's a very flexible design that allows you to do both heating and cooling, or just heating, or even have 2 tanks simultaneously doing heating or cooling. So extremely useful design package. Next, we're going to go into the Samsung product line. They have a VRF system, which is water-cooled. As you can see here, this is a single-phase product available in sizes 3, 4, and 5 ton. They do have larger sizes, but they're available in 3-phase, so really more of a commercial type setting. But this is more residential type application. One of the benefits of this is that it is really can go into almost any hydronic situation where you need cooling, and it can be applied in a multiple different ways. We have a 4-way cassette, we have a 1-way cassette, we have a 360 cassette, we have high wall fan coils, we have ducted solutions. You need a furnace replacement, you have the multi-position air handler, direct replacement for that, or you have other ducted options. You have the Duct S, which is a thin profile with high static pressure capability. And then you have the slim duct, which is also a low profile ducted unit, but with low static capability. And lastly, the console unit, which you may find useful at times, but really all of these things can be incorporated into one single compressing unit. So very flexible with the ability to go into almost any home and put 3, 4, 5 heads wherever you need to serve that customer. So very, very flexible product. Next, we're going to talk about Samsung's other line. They have a multitude of air-to-air products. I'm going to key on more of the multi-zone. This is called their FJM product. They do have 1-to-1 mini splits and other VRF products. But the multi-zone is a very useful one. And as Kevin kind of keyed on, if for some reason a geothermal system wouldn't work, this would probably be something that we would suggest you use. Similar to the VRF, you have lots of different fan coil options. We have 2 different kinds of high wall units. We have a 4-way cassette. We have the slim duct, which is the low static duct unit, and also a console unit, which is new this year. It is their max heat version, so it is capable to go down to -13 Fahrenheit. So it is a very useful unit. It comes in sizes from 1.5 to 3 tons. So, very flexible usage for your needs. And lastly, SmartThings. Samsung does offer an internet-capable system. It works on all of their products, and it basically allows the customer to go in and see all their thermostat, all the thermostats on their system, and control them as you would any Wi-Fi thermostat. And lastly, I just want to touch on not only do we offer these product lines, but we also offer different products within our. Yes, could you mute, please?
Yeah, hold on, Jared. I think it was number 50. Mute. We got him.
All right, thanks, John.
Yep, go.
Okay, so yeah, we offer obviously the Samsung and GeoStar products, but we also offer lots of other products to help meet your needs out in the field. We definitely offer geothermal piping and fittings, whether it be socket fusion, butt fusion, or electrofusion. We also offer all the tools to make those fusion joints. We also offer things like heat pump connection assemblies, manifolds. Those basically have a list that are off the shelf. We also have flow centers, whether it be a pressurized flow center you hang on the wall, or a non-pressurized flow center that you place on the floor and connect to your heat pump. We also offer hydronic fan coils and buffer tanks to meet your needs. We offer both ducted units and high wall units, and there's just also several other flavors as well. And then lastly, just pumps. As you notice, we're pumping water, and hydronics are definitely a strong point of ours. So we offer lots of pumps to meet your needs, whether it's variable speed, single speed, anything we can do to reduce the pump energy, we'll do our best to help you with that. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Levi.
Hey, thanks. My name's Levi. I kind of handle like the background stuff here at Phoenix. So moving in, we're always here to help you out and figure out what you need. Cannabis, we work with you to provide your orders. You have everything that you need to get the job done. Now, when it comes to deliveries, we more than happy to work with you. Our delivery guy is really good. So when you figure out when you're going to be on the job site, we'll deliver everything to your system right at the job site. And not only that, our delivery guy has a special cart. He'll help you bring the heat pump downstairs, get it situated in the basement, closet, wherever you're installing it. And we'll also help you remove the old equipment, whether that's just bringing it back up the stairs, the old furnace, using that specialized cart, and we can help you put it in your truck, or we'll even take it in our truck as a simple thank you to help move along the job that you're working on. Additional to that, like Jared said, we have some things to help you save some time. We kind of put a lot of work into designing and fabricating different heat pump connection assemblies, which currently we're adding more flavors to. So to provide you with a one-stop turnkey solution to hook up those heat pumps in whatever variation that you need, so that you're not really spending too much time trying to sweat brass or attach things together or figure out the order you want your valves in. They just come pre-packaged and ready to go. And I'll turn it back over to John to talk about the mentor program.
Thank you, Levi. And one final dimension to what we can offer is one we've talked about for some time is a mentor program. And I'm excited to bring this offering to the table. Oh, wrong way. It's basically an on-the-job training program, and we've talked to NYSERDA over the years, and it's a concept that I've presented to them multiple times, and you know it's always been encumbered with program management and paperwork, and finally I said, screw it. They finally have agreed to bundle it under their co-op marketing program as a form of training. So we have gotten support, and they will cover basically 50% of the cost. So we can now offer it to you, and we've got a particular gentleman in mind. He's on the call right now listening to Dan Cochran, who has got a company called Renaissance Heating and Cooling, and agreed to be our mentor trainer. Available. He's got more years in the HVAC industry than I do, so he's a young man at heart. He's field is our go-to guy, but we've also got support from Kevin and some of his field tech, who are definitely very experienced in the area. So we can bring the manpower to you and train your guys in the field, which I think is far better than classroom training where you are forced to drink from a fire hose. It's customized for specific needs. If you want to install, say, a IntelliZone, and you got a particular day that you want to learn how to do that, well, we'll coordinate and get a guy out there who knows how to do it. And maybe set aside 2 or 3 guys that you want trained that day. Time with you and make it happen. So, NYSERDA, and it'll be a valuable. I hope you take advantage of it. So, I'll turn it back over to Mike. Yeah, we're getting close to that hour. So unless, and I don't think any questions, Jared, Levi, have you guys seen any questions pop up that we need to address?
None so far.
Negative.
Negative. So, Michael, do you think we got 5 minutes that we can let Kevin do a little dog and pony?
Absolutely.
Okay, Kevin, why don't I turn over presenter role to you? Let me pull up the participant list here. You got your end ready to go there, Kevin? Where is Kevin? I don't hear Kevin.
John, while we're ironing out those...
I'm here, John.
Oh, Kevin, are you there?
Yep, I can. Okay, I've accepted it.
Okay.
So you've got my screen, so I'm hoping that everybody can see a Google map.
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'm just going to pick an address here. I'll pull one up from a job that we did in Ithaca and just give you the broad overview of what we look at. Nice thing about Google Maps is you can kind of see property lines. We typically will start by scrolling way out just to get a sense of where we are. Down at the end of the lake there in Ithaca, which always has its challenges, primarily in and around this area here. This one is up on East Hill. And we can get into this. We can look at terrain, and we have other programs that are even greater than this. So we can see it's definitely up on the hillside there, so we have a fair assumption that we'll see rock. I can go into the satellite image of the home, scroll in, and we look at it, and of all the neighbors in here that have semi-open front yards, of course, the one that has trees blocking everything is the one that wants to do a geothermal system. So this required me to drive down and take a look at the site, and Rich also drove down to take a look at the site. We can drag and drop this little guy here into the front and look at the property. It's a very powerful tool. So again, it's got its challenges, and this actually changed. This is now a blacktop driveway that's brick lined, but we were able to back our rig into the front corner of this house. Right in here is where the well sits, right where that little pin sits. Simple tie-in from there. So it's one of those ones that would require a visit. And at the end of the day, they've moved ahead, and geothermal is funny in that it allows somebody to put it in there, and now this neighbor's talking about it, this neighbor's talking about doing it, and I think one of these two up here is asking about it. So it spreads rapidly once you get your first customer into a neighborhood. Another example I'll throw up in here is somebody wants to type one in there or throw one out at me. Let me think. Do this one. Just a site that I know. So this is out in south of Penn Yan, between Penn Yan and Dundee. It's up on the hillside there. And we can scroll in and look at this property right here. Looking at this one, we've got options to do a horizontal system. We got options to do a vertical system. And in some cases, what we do, again, with the map feature of this, is I can draw out and create a virtual loop field very easily and lay out what we think we may or may not be able to do in a given location. So we've got space to do that there. If I scroll out wider, just to give people a sense of what type of area that we cover. So our organizations have drilled here, we've drilled here, we've drilled all through here, all through here, here, all up and through here. You get down, we've drilled in Albany, up and down through the Hudson Valley. So we have extensive knowledge locally to cover almost all of New York State. If you're down in here, down New York, Long Island, parts of Westchester, that gets a little bit hairier. But for the most part, we have boards anywhere in New York State, and this is a powerful tool that allows us to give you a quick overview of, do we need to do a site visit? What do we think we're seeing in geology? Is there a limit to what we're doing? And it really shapes that site visit for us moving ahead. That's about it on that end of things. John, if you want to pull back the presentation mode and let Mike finish.
Yep. Okay, Michael, I think it's, if you see my screen, I'm in charge.
Just a couple of comments, John, before we have a last survey inquiry here, but I just wanted to take the opportunity again to thank everybody for attending. We've tried to keep our time commitment, and we have. We hope that you've learned and taken away something that may inspire you to broaden your offerings to include geothermal solutions to homeowners and commercial properties. We've covered a lot in the last hour. We talked about the no-loop process. And Kevin did a great job, and I hope that last segment where he used Google Maps as an indication of the technology that we could use to make this job of qualifying leads and quoting opportunities and closing a deal a lot more easy. We talked about products. Jared talked about the water to air and the water to water solutions that we offer. Talked about the ancillary services that we offer, value added, and John talked about the mentoring program that I think will mean a lot to the contractors who are new to the geothermal industry. You know, we understand that this HVAC solution will not be found on every street in every community, but there will be more opportunities as we move ahead in the future. For some of you, this will mean taking a new path in building new business opportunities. It could be a tough decision, but in the long run, we hope that it's a very good decision for your company. What our mission has been here today is to encourage and inspire you to take another step, maybe the first step along this path. As a follow-up, I will personally be calling you and to find out whether you'd consider scheduling a one-on-one meeting to further discuss this no-loop model in more detail. We can also discuss how we can help you grow your geothermal business, whether it's through technical training and perhaps providing marketing assistance, which maybe you haven't seen in the past, marketing assistance that may be useful in generating more and more qualified leads. So in summary, we are ready, we are willing, and we are ready to build our partnership with you for our mutual success. So with that, again, I look forward to talking to you in the near future. And John, you have a final survey question you'd like to pose to the audience?
Yeah, we don't like long surveys, so I'm asking for one simple question. Do you feel it was worth the time of an hour to share with us a simple little time, and look forward to hopefully doing some business with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, and be safe.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you.